Not only is Doug McVay a righteous brother and an old friend of mine and Hempfest, he is the editor of the amazing Drug War Facts. He's host and producer of Free Culture Radio on station KBOO in Portland. And he is a reefer raider trained by Jack Harrer, the Hemperor himself, who spoke at every Hempfest except 1 year that he was sick before he passed away. And in his memory, it gives me great pleasure to say, Doug McVay!
Thank you, Vivian. Thank you. You people are beautiful. It is so good to be here in Seattle once again for Seattle Hempfest. Yeah! It's going to be a great weekend. We're going to have so much fun. You know, 35 years ago this month, I was getting ready to start classes at the University of Iowa. Saw an ad in the Daily Iowan, which was the school newspaper. The guy at Iowa Normal was looking for people to start a campus chapter. So I answered an ad. And then a couple months later, I went to my first Normal conference with my friend Jack Clubb, Boston spelling, 2 B's. May he rest in peace. He was a yippie, good friend of some folks, Ben Mazzell, Dana Beal, all these people who I got to get to know and to start hanging out with at that conference. A year later, I'm up in Oregon working on a marijuana initiative. Oh, how things have changed. I mean, appreciate this. Think about it. When someone like me was getting into school, the notion that there would be a festival like this was madness. The idea that any state was going to legalize, that was a pipe dream. I was at Normal, working in the national office, when this guy calls up. He tells me he's a reporter with something called the Hollywood Sun-Tatler. And I'm thinking, sure, buddy, what 1930s cheap movie did you come walking out of? Turns out he really was. From the Hollywood, Florida, that is. Because there was a federal court case. Well, it was a court case. Anyway, they were about to rule that this wonderful, wonderful woman I know named Elvie Musica was about to become the 3rd person in the United States to receive legal federal medical marijuana. Elvie, my dearest friend on earth, who's going to be up speaking right after me. We have traveled the road together. We have been out doing this stuff, talking to people. She's not the only reason that my dear departed grandma decided that this marijuana idea, this legalization thing was okay. But, you know, she did help a lot. It's brilliant. And, you know, I'm doing this because I'm a drug policy reformer. I believe in social justice. Yes, I am one of those social justice warriors. Thank you. And, you know, so are all my friends. That's how we got here. We didn't get here because somebody wanted to get rich. Those guys came after. We got here because people believed in freedom, in justice. People believed in equity. People believed that there was hope that we could make this a better place. And a lot of us still think that. We are still working on drug policy reform. Marijuana legalization, heck yes. Medical marijuana, absolutely. But you know, we got to do a lot more. We have brothers and sisters and parents and friends who have drug addictions. We have brothers and sisters and parents and friends who inject drugs. They are still our brothers and our sisters and our parents and our friends and our children. They are still people we care about. So what you got going on up here in King County, and we got people working on this in Portland, there are people in San Francisco, in New York, and all around the country, a thing called a supervised injection facility. Supervised consumption facility, really, because in a broader sense, they'll have people in there able to get safe equipment so that they're not spreading hepatitis C, so that they're not spreading HIV, so that they're not acquiring any of the other diseases that can happen, so that when they use, they do not overdose and die. Because what's really important is saving lives. Because those are our brothers and our sisters and our parents and our children and our friends. So in King County, you have a chance to be one of the first people in the United States to have one of these facilities. They're all over the world. Inside up in Vancouver's had one successful for more than 2 decades at least. You've got things like this in Netherlands, in Germany, in Switzerland. You've got them all over the world, but not in the United States. Because here, we still believe that you have to have a war on drug users. Here in the United States, we still have that attitude. that people who use drugs must be bad. Well, I got news. Everybody uses drugs. Alcohol, tobacco, aspirin, guess what? Those are drugs. They're just not what we call controlled substances. Well, at least alcohol and tobacco aren't. Weed's a controlled substance. Check it out. And so that's my message out here. It's about reform. It's about harm reduction. See, harm reduction is a great idea. It's real simple. Manage risk. Reduce the harm. Mitigate the damage that can be done to the person and to society because of what they do. We do it all the time. If you learn how to drink alcohol responsibly, you know that having more than one drink in an hour means you're going to get too loaded. If you have it an hour, it'll metabolize, you'll be okay. You're not going to probably get sick. Harm reduction is knowing that if you have minor aches and pains, you can smoke weed for relief. And you don't have to go out and take aspirin, which is a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug, long-winded thing that says it can damage your kidneys. A full bottle of aspirin, you could die of an overdose. You don't have to go out on the street and score smack. You could just take too many aspirin and achieve the same effect. You die. That's no good. Instead, you can smoke some weed. Get the pain relief. You're not going to kill yourself. There's not going to be the risk of dying from an overdose. That's harm reduction, right? Actually, up in Vancouver, BC, they do that. They have a program. It's run by volunteers, and it's totally unofficial, but there are folks who do. They trade out. Bring it, come on by. You can have weed instead. And it works. Harm reduction, that's where it's at. Now, these drug policy reforms are happening all around the country. In Seattle, in King County, you have been helping to lead the way. One of the earliest needle exchanges in the United States was in Tacoma. Seattle, King County has led the way in criminal justice reform and in drug policy reform. It's not just you were the first state to legalize and regulate. You have done a lot more. And you know what? It's because of people like this. It's because of people like you. You coming out to these festivals. You coming out to this thing and making yourself seen and heard. You're supporting positive change, effective reform. You are making the future happen. And it's going to be a beautiful future. It's all because of you. And because of this festival. So now this festival is free. You know that. You got here. But check it out. It costs a bundle to make all this happen. You will find at the entrances, you will find donation booths. They're asking for 10. Heck, if you just got $1, throw it in. Say you just paid $300 plus for a piece of glass over at one of these fine vendors, and I'm not disparaging anybody who's wasting that kind of money on a stupid piece of glass. That's your money. But take some of that change and drop it in the bucket on your way out. Because that way, you know that you have made sure this can happen again next year. And those vendors will have those booths, and they'll have more glassware. Oh, the things you will see. All you got to do is work with us and make it possible. As my good, what's his name? Vivian, that's his name. Vivian here explained, I'm the editor of a thing called Drug War Facts. I must ask you, please, go to the website, drugwarfacts.org. You will find lots of information on all aspects of drug control, policy, harm reduction, and the rest. Make use of it. Like the sign says, information is power. You're all beautiful. Thank you very much.
Doug McVay.